Hi, this is Jay Hummel, CEO and co-founder of Wealth Advisor Growth Network. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We have an exciting announcement today before I introduce our amazing guest. We have a new partner sponsor in Investopedia. Investopedia is the US and global content leader on providing financial literacy content to individual investors as well as financial advisors to help individuals reach their financial goals. Known that team for a long time. Couldn't be more aligned with them as to why we started this show, and we're really proud to have them as a sponsor slash partner going forward. We're a viewer-led show. We continue to get a lot of questions on how financial advisors and business owners should think about the environment that we're currently in and the environment in the future. And so I couldn't think of a better first guest in our collaboration than Geoff Eliason. Geoff has an amazing background in wealth and asset management. And today he is the CEO and majority owner of SDR Ventures, a boutique investment bank located in Denver, Colorado. Geoff, I know you're extremely busy. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Jay, it's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Well, we talk about it a lot, and today's focus is on financial advisors and business owners. When you look at the current environment today and going forward, why do you think financial advisors need to be focused on the business owner and when you sit in your seat, and why do business owners need to seek out financial advice?
Absolutely. Well, we've been talking in our industry about the transfer of wealth from baby boomers down, and talking about it for 10 years now. And for about 10 years, it was like watching paint dry. Well, now that transfer of wealth is happening right before our eyes. And those baby boomers are selling their companies. And Jay, that's the fabric this country's made up of. And so you've got trillions of dollars in small business assets that are being sold. And you also have a private equity environment with trillions of dollars that needs to be invested. And they are buying those small companies. And they're what you and I would recognize as pretty boring companies. Residential services, business services, manufacturing, just great cash flow companies. And the baby boomers are now in their late 60s, early 70s, and they're ready to sell.
Talk to the audience a little bit about that example that I've heard you use a number of times where you were working with an advisor who had a client who had an unsolicited offer. And I just really like that process because it just shows the power of advice from the financial advisor. It shows the power to the business owner of why they need advice. Can you just tell the audience that story quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Jay, the story also shows the clearest way that a financial advisor can and should work with their clients and prospects that are business owners. So it was a veterinary clinic in South Carolina. And like every business owner on a weekly or a monthly basis, the vet clinic received an unsolicited offer to buy their business. Literally just a cold call saying, hey, I want to buy your vet clinic. Here's what I'll pay for it. Fortunately, the first thing that business owner thought of was to call their financial advisor and say, wow, I just received an unsolicited offer. It sounds like it's a lot of money and wanted to get your opinion. Fortunately, the first thing that financial advisor thought to do was to call SDR and really leverage the research that we have and do on companies and the valuation of the business, the vet clinic, but then also who are the buyers and what are they willing to pay and how can we create a premium for that company by creating, among other things, a very competitive auction. So the veterinarian hired SDR as an investment bank. We presented that vet clinic to hundreds of potential and professional investors. And over about 7-8 months, we ended up selling that business for nearly 2 times what that unsolicited offer was. The veterinarian was absolutely beside themselves for what they received for their business. We were able to integrate that financial advisor into the planning process in preparing the business to sell, selling it, and then handing the liquidity event right back to the financial advisor so that they could take that business owner into the next stage of their lives and really thrive as individuals and as families. It was just picture perfect. And Jay, it's worth noting that these are not isolated scenarios. We had another financial advisor bring us a client that owned a CPA practice. Again, unsolicited offer. In just 3 months, we were able to sell that business for 2 times the unsolicited offer. It was absolutely beautiful. The assets went into the financial advisor's practice. And again, they were able to really care for that business owner leading up to the sale, and then life after the sale. And the catalyst, more often than not, is that unsolicited offer.
Well, and you know, I'm a nerdy accountant, and this is dangerous to do things off the cuff. So I think when you think of, I always think of the financial impact, right, to the advisor and to the end customer in your example. So let's just assume that vet clinic sold for $10 million, right? And you guys get a 6% fee, or an investment bank, you know, to the listeners, as you know, listening to the show, this is not a commercial for SDR Ventures, but Geoff's on, so we use SDR as an example. Investment bank gets 6%, so 600 grand on that. Most investment banking firms are okay sharing with the advisor, and there's a way to, in a compliant way, to do that without the advisor in most transactions needing to be broker-dealer licensed. So let's just assume SDR in this example shares 20% with the advisor. So the advisor puts 120,000 in their pocket in the transaction. The prospect walks away with $9.5 million in gross proceeds. They pay taxes. So let's just say they end up with $6 million in investable assets after taxes that they now bring to that advisor, and the advisor's paying 90, charging 90 basis points. So now I'm an advisor. I made $120,000 in the transaction. I have recurring revenue of $54,000 in financial planning, asset management fees that are recurring. And if eventually I go to sell my firm and I'm selling it at a 5 times multiple, I just created $250,000 in enterprise value at my firm in one transaction, and I have an unbelievably happy client. Am I doing the math right on
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Because
You're doing the math absolutely right. And so, what I want the audience to recognize is that by working with an investment bank, SDR, um, and business owner clients, you have a new source of revenue with the referral fee. And to your point, Jay, that's usually 10 to 20% of the success fee from the investment bank closing the deal. And so that's new revenue. And then one of the things that makes SDR unique is because I have spent 20 years in financial services, I am very understanding and collaborative with financial advisors to bring them into that process in serving business owners and really making the financial advisor the hero in the story. And that is what galvanizes the assets staying in-house. Because that is absolutely mission critical, that the assets don't leave the financial advisor after the liquidity event. And so it requires the financial advisor and the investment bank being hyper intentional. Jay, I want to also bring to the audience's attention something interesting that you laid out, and that is organic growth of the financial advisor's practice. In January, I was reading both Schwab and Fidelity's RIA report on everything related to RIAs. And what struck me was that the average level of organic growth for RIAs is, and this is net of market and acquisitions, which would be folding a practice in, that would be inorganic growth. So just pure organic growth. Jay, what percentage do you think that is on average for RIAs?
2%.
Yeah, it was 3%.
Yeah, 2.4.
That's pathetic.
Oh, it's unbelievably pathetic. And I just think most people don't really know. And I think that's the thing that I would love for you to tell the audience is people say to me all the time, great, that's awesome, Jay, Geoff, you guys, yeah, the business owner is a great opportunity. Everybody can look at the macro trend. Frankly, in the next 10 years, it's a better opportunity than the millennial transfer. And I'm so tired of hearing about that. So, but the question I always get is, how in the world do I find them? I guess there's two questions. How in the world do I find them, Geoff? Where do I find these business owners? And the second piece is, I'm nervous because do I need to be the subject matter expert?
Right.
How do I speak to a business owner? I have my answers to that, but you're the guest, so I'm going to let you handle
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. So business owners are everywhere around us. As I mentioned, it is the majority of this country's GDP, and it's the fabric of this nation. And these are companies that sell for between 10 million and 30 million. And when you talk about organic growth that blows 2.4%, 3% out of the water, it is by bringing in assets through business owners that sell their companies for 10 to 30 million. And that happens every day, all day. And so, what I want to encourage the audience with is first, be very intentional with your clients that are business owners. Ask them once a year to work with a company like SDR to get a valuation on their business and then plug that valuation into your financial plan. So that is step one, once a year. Secondly, be very active in the community because whether it is your kids' schools, um, church, your faith community, there are business owners virtually everywhere. They simply need to see you as a resource that helps them combine their personal life with their professional life. Because before the business gets sold, the majority of their net worth is tied up inside that business. They simply need to see you as a person, a professional that can not only speak into how to combine their personal and professional lives, but ultimately speak into how to unlock the liquidity of that business. And so the first step, Jay, is to really talk to business owners, whether they're clients or prospects. Minimum is once a year in getting a valuation on that company and then leveraging that valuation into the financial plan. Bottom line is you do not need to be the expert. You do not need to be the investment banker. You need to be the quarterback that is managing every aspect of that business owner's life. The P&C insurance, the retirement planning, the multi-generational legacy planning, minimizing and mitigating taxes, real estate, obviously speaking into the business and how that business works into their financial plan, the estate tax. I mean, every single business owner, and I mean every single business owner needs to be aware of the estate tax expiring January 1st of 26. And that message needs to come from every single person listening to this podcast, the financial advisor.
Well, and I know in the future, I'm anxious to have you back on because your point is a good one, which I know you've been working on, which is a platform that allows advisors to not only bring business valuation services, but also bringing lending and P&C and life insurance, so all the things to the advisor to make them that expert. The last thing I would say is, Geoff, I know that you have a checklist, I believe, that if someone wants to reach out to you, a checklist on how they can engage business owners. What are the steps that they need to do? How do they think about value? How do they market to them? I've seen you do it with other advisors. So one, I believe you have that. And secondly, if someone wants to reach out to you to access that or to build a relationship with SDR, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we have what we call the financial advisor toolkit and roadmap. And it is a very iterative process that the financial advisor can use from having the very first conversation with a client or a prospect that's a business owner, all the way to that conversation of, hey, I received an unsolicited offer, or I'm ready to sell my company. What do I need to do? Help me. And everything in between along that entrepreneur's journey. And so we really work hard to empower the financial advisor to be relevant through every stage of that entrepreneur's story and truly be the hero in that story. The best thing that the audience can do is simply email me, and I will work directly with you. Or we have Becky Kemp, our head of financial advisor relationships and partnerships, that walks in lockstep with financial advisors that are serving clients that are business owners.
Well, Geoff, I know you're extremely busy. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you come back. I think we could do this for hours,
Absolutely.
and I hope we get to do it again in the future. So thanks for being here.
You bet. Thank you, Jay. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks again to Investopedia. Visit investopedia.com for more information on a lot of great financial literacy, whether you're an advisor, a business owner, an individual investor. They have all the content that you need. Want to thank everyone for listening to this episode. We're looking forward to hearing you and seeing you the next time on the Deep Dive.